Jai Sri Krishna. And today I'm going to tell you, it's in the Srimad Bhagavad, and I'm going to tell you a story that comes there, which is the story of Atmadev and Dhundala. Now, before I start the story, you will find that some of the stories are quite absurd, but they all have a deep meaning and deep truths. So, pay attention and let's see, even if you don't remember the names, but I mean, just to give you an idea of, and all Hindus mostly know these stories, and very often, because they have heard it, those who have heard it, I mean, a certain situation comes in life and they can actually immediately refer to these stories. Okay, so Atmadev was married, there was an Atmadev, a good man, and he was married to Dhundala. Now, if you know, the word Dhundala comes from the word dhund, which means fog or mist. So not very clear. Obviously, the mind is not very clear. But Dhundala wanted the Atmadev wanted a child very much, and they were childless. So now he went to a sage. Atmadev went to a sage and told him, I want to have a child. So the sage, in fact, told him, you have no responsibility. So, in fact, it's okay if you don't have a child. It's not that important. But he said, no, I must have a child. Otherwise, I'll commit suicide. So he said, all right, I'm going to give you a fruit. And this fruit you go and give to your wife and she will conceive. Now, what happens is when he went to give it to his wife, the wife did not want to go through the pregnancy and the trouble that comes with it. So she gave it to the cow. Okay? Now, the cow became pregnant. But in the meantime, she made a pact with her sister, that is Dhundala, made a pact with her sister that, because the sister was pregnant, so she said, all right, then what I'm going to pretend to be pregnant, but actually I will, you give me your child. Fine. So that's what happened, and she feigned pregnancy, and now the cow had a child. His name was Gokaran. He was human in form, but he had the ears of a cow. And the child that was born to Dhundala's sister was called Dhundakari. Now, just the symbolism so far, let me tell you, the sage is the guru, okay, by who's, worshipping whom and kind of listening to whom, with his blessings, he was able to get a son. Now, Dhundala is the mind. You see, the mind, it deceives. It doesn't do the right thing, but it deceives. And Dhundala's sister is like no wisdom. She's probably a little intelligent, she's probably clever, but definitely there is no really wisdom. So wisdom without, a mind without wisdom will give birth to Dhundakari, who is again obviously not the perfect son to aspire for. Whereas Gokaran, who was the child of the cow, he turned out to be an upright, good person who eventually, in fact, even looked after the father. Now, what happened is that the Atmadev was so disappointed with his son, who ill-treated the father. I'm talking of Dhundakari. He ill-treated the father, so he just went away to the forest. And Dhundala, who got that whole money in his hand, and he just wiled it away with with wine and women. And now here, if you are still paying attention, women are the senses. So there is Dhundakari, who is again taken in by the senses. Now Dhundakari, he started stealing, because he was after the women and he wanted them at any cost. So he had to steal to keep them happy with ornaments and stuff like that. And the women, that is the senses, were so afraid that they actually had Dhundakari killed. Now, Dhundakari became a wandering spirit. He was dead and he became a wandering spirit because then he had not lived a good life and no particular prayers were said for him. There was no love lost. So he became a wandering spirit, but his brother Gokaran, who is the cow's son, wanted to do something for him. So he asked Surya to do, what shall I do so that he should be liberated? That is, the brother should be liberated. And he was told, you should do a Srimad Bhagavad ka katha. And let me read now how the Srimad Bhagavad is generally done now after a person dies, at least amongst the Sindhis, because just he said, just like Dhundakari got liberated, so will also the soul for whom this particular prayer is kept. So anyway, family and friends should be invited to derive benefit. During the first day of the narrative of the Srimad Bhagavad, Dhundakari's the lowest knot of a bamboo stick, because there are bamboo sticks that are attached around the narrator, that is the Kathakar. So the first one knot got, every day of the recital, the bamboo knot got untied and Gokaran moved up to a higher one. Now this, what it means is that when we have the chakras, from the chakras, what happens is the spirit, as it listens to the Srimad Bhagavad, it starts going higher and the knots start getting loosened. So on the seventh day of the narration, the last knot came untied. Dhundakari emerged as a radiant being. Dhundakari was grateful to Gokaran for having been instrumental to his liberation. The 7 knots of the bamboo stick are symbolic of 7 desires and attachments which man must overcome if he wants to proceed on the path of liberation. These 7 attachments are towards one's mate, child, home, city, society, and material wealth and position. Means do what you have to do your duties, but there's no need to get so attached to them, because they are the ones that bind you to samsara. One is bound to our attachments by passion, anger, greed, ego, jealousy, ignorance, and emotions. So next time you attend a Srimad Bhagavad recital in honor of a departed soul, notice the 4 bamboo sticks tied on the 4 corners of the Kathakar, which is the narrator. So I hope you have enjoyed this story. It may be confusing, but my suggestion is do read it again until it becomes a little clearer, and I bet you will enjoy it. So until the next Srimad Bhagavad lesson, you take care and God bless.